and guests, and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Live call-in talk show. Dial 1-877-932-9766 and join the conversation here on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
This is All in Our Family. I'm S. Yolanda Robinson. We are all family. All in Our Family, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard. TalkTainmentRadio.com. You're listening to All in Our Family, and I'm S. Yolanda Robinson, and this is radio, the way it should be heard. Guess who I have in the studio today? The Columbus Greater Basketball Legends Association, Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Association's Hall of Famers. I got it. Don Sellers, who is a scouter for the NBA and the former coach from Capital University, Scott Weakley. And we're going to talk to them about one of my favorite subjects, basketball. And I love basketball because I love this organization and I love the things that they're doing in our community. But Mr. Sellers, could you give us a background on you? How did you get started? What made you interested in basketball? And who were some of your mentors?
There's a picture of me when I was a kid in a diaper with a sock. And my brother was a manager for the South High team in '65, who won the state championship. And I kind of got introduced to it that way. Around that team has been inducted in the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Hall of Fame about 3 or 4 years ago. But basketball for me has just been a love. As far as who was some of my influences, my brother was at first. And then when I started to see basketball, we didn't get NBA basketball here in town, but you looked at the high schools and Skip Young, Jim Clemens, Nick Connors, Bo Lamar, guys like that. And then you looked in the pros and you saw Walt Frazier, Earl to Pearl Monroe, and obviously Kareem, Bill Walton. You heard about, when you started to work in basketball, you heard about this drill called the Mikan drill. And it was invented by George Mikan or for George Mikan, I'm not sure. But that's where I kind of got my love of the game from, and it just kept growing.
Okay, so you had your diaper and you was throwing it in the
back. in the clothes hamper.
In the clothes hamper. Okay, well, Mr. Weakley, now could you tell us, now you're a coach, you were a coach at Capital in basketball and you played basketball. How did you get started and who were some of your mentors?
Well, that's a great question, and I didn't go quite as early as Don. But, I grew up in Bexley and had the opportunity to play all sports growing up, football, basketball, baseball. Soccer really hadn't arrived on the scene back there in the 60s to any great event. But I think that probably around my 9th grade year in high school, I was playing football, and the coach came to me and said, Weakley, we don't think you're going to be big enough to be the quarterback, so we're going to put somebody else at quarterback. And I thought, well, you don't have to be real big to play basketball. And I started to really put my energy in playing basketball. And I think that's where my love for the game came. And just I had some great friends from Eastmore and Hartley that were pretty notable street players that would take me around different parts of Columbus, introduce me to other players, many of which Don alluded to, Bo Lamar and Ratliff and from all over the city, and really helped me grow my love for the game. But my biggest mentor in the game of basketball by far was my high school basketball coach, Gene Millard, who's still living. He's 84. He played for Ohio State. He was a great high school coach, but he loved young guys and really helped me become not just a good basketball player, but at that point in my life, I needed some guidance, and he helped shape me to the person that I am today.
You know, I've seen this, and I've heard people say that how much of an influence their coach has on them. Did your coach have the same kind of influence on you, Mr. Sellers?
I think coaches have to realize, and especially junior high and high school coaches, the influence they can have on a kid. Watch what you say to the kid. You know, think about what you say to the kid before you say it to the kid, because if the kid hangs on your every word, he may go this way or that way. I mean, one thing I would say to coaches, pick your times when you're going to yell. Don't just yell for the heck of it. Another word I'd like to use. But just don't yell for the heck of it. You know, you're going to get your chance. You're going to get your chance. But teach and mentor the guys. I mean, you know, it used to be, I mean, when Scott and myself played, Vince Ciccarella, great coach, could yell, scream, and holler. He could hit us on the head or whatever, because that's the way we were brought up, to respect authority. Now it's a little different. And so understand what you're doing. When you have a person that has your undivided attention, don't abuse it. Teach the kid. And if you don't know how to teach, go learn.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that happen, you know, where I know my cousin came in from Washington, D.C., and he was doing some coaching during the summer. And some of the young men that came back, they took him out to lunch, and it was so moving. They was telling him, do you know what you did for me? Do you remember how much you changed my life? And you were just like my dad or my second dad to me. And you're right, the words and things that they say to children as they're coming up, and how they're treated has a large influence on what's going to happen.
I'd like to say one more quick thing. Scott Weakley can come in the North End. He can come into the East Side and play or recruit or scout and coach. This is a white guy from Bexley that could come in our neighborhood and go there. So,
what did he have that set him out?
Trust.
He could come in.
Trust. He could. You know, you got to be able to get. You better get the trust of one of those parents. If it's a single parent, get the trust of that mother. If it's dual parents there, get the trust of the parents. Get the trust of the parents, and then you can teach the kid. You don't. In some cases, coach, you don't have to raise the kid. They got two parents there, or they got a strong, role model there, or whatever. Just pick your spots.
Yeah, I never thought about any of the racial things going on. I just wanted to play basketball. I didn't care who the person was I was playing with or against. And one of the cool things is that basketball was a common denominator in the different neighborhoods, and I think everybody respected one another. And you use the word trust. I knew I could go to Walnut Ridge and play. I could go down to Schiller Park and play. And I just trusted the guys. We all had that same commonality, and I never worried about it. It was, and I don't think it's so much that way today, and it's sad because you don't see a lot of kids playing on the playgrounds anymore throughout the city. Of course, there's a lot of reasons for that. We could get into that, but I just really love the guys I grew up with.
Well, do you think that basketball is going to change in the future? What do you see as the future of basketball, Mr. Weakley? How do you see?
That's a really loaded question. Because basketball, I don't know if the game of basketball has changed. Certainly with the different rule changes, like the 3-point shot certainly changed the game tremendously, especially for little guys like me. But I think with the advent of AAU basketball, and everybody has to play in a league now, and AAU is almost become more important than playing for your high school team. And there are some good things about that. Kids get recognized early on, but you even at 5th, 6th grade, 7th grade, they're rating kids
Yeah.
now. They're rating them from 1 to 200,
Mhm.
you know, and it's almost unfair because, you know, I was a late bloomer. I would have, in my junior year in high school, I would have been rated 199 out of 200, and the other guy that was 200 probably couldn't see. So, you know, and then between an 8-month period, you know, I got a lot better. So, you know, there's a lot of things going on with basketball that are good right now, but I don't think the spontaneity is there that it used to be. But I don't know, Don can allude to some of that.
Yeah, Don, you are a scouter for the NBA, right? Former scouter for the NBA. Now, did you recruit from the AAU, or were you looking at children that were at maybe 9 or 10? And no. Okay.
No, on purpose. First of all, how the heck do you rank a 3rd grader? Get out of here with that. Go somewhere with that. No, one of the first games I went to when I got hired on as a scout, West Coast scout for the Memphis Grizzlies, was DC Assault, I think it was called, and it was against a New York team. Jason Frazier, who works in the D League now, and Carmelo Anthony played with the DC team, and that was the first scout I had. I made the mistake of wearing a shirt that had Memphis Grizzlies logo on it. Why did I do that? Because I got attacked. And you get, well, my son can play, and this, that, and the other. So AAU has its advantages, but unfortunately, and I'm not hating, there's a lot of disadvantages. And there's a lot of guys involved that, okay, your love for the game, be involved. And then I'm not hating on that. I'm not hating on your love for the game. But make sure you learn the game before you go somewhere to teach it. If I don't know how to lay bricks, I damn sure ain't gonna go out there and try to lay bricks. And learn from guys like Scott Weakley. Learn from some of these coaches in Columbus, Spears, the good coaches. Follow the good programs, the guys that Afrocentric. Follow the good programs and learn. There's nothing wrong with learning before you teach.
Okay. Do you think that it's changed since you were playing basketball back in the day?
No, heck yeah.
How has it changed?
Yeah, heck yeah. I had a guy that will walk me up that night, the Hall of Fame night, Gene Davis, and arguably in our era, Gene was probably the best coach in the city. He took a Linden team in '75 that Linden was very talented, and we had a coach named Ed Mills, who was like a father to everybody. And they let him go or replaced him, sent him back to teaching, and Gene took over, and Gene had been his assistant before or whatever. And Gene came in first year and won the state championship. Second year, that's when I came. We went to the semifinals. Third year, undefeated, 26-0. 78, we lost our mind, but he was another guy that could go anywhere in our neighborhood. We knew he loved us. We knew when he yelled at us, he loved us. We didn't take it personal. Now these kids are taking it personal. The coaches are taking it personal, and hopefully you're just trying. And I'm gonna use it. Stay on this thing. You're just trying to make people get better. That's the only way. The game will take care of itself because it's a great game. It's going to take care of itself, but at that level, the lower levels, let's help people get better. That's what it's about.
Well, what do you see the future of basketball, Don? What do you personally see basketball in the future?
It's in good hands.
It's in good hands.
This class that's coming in, NBA wise, I mean, it's in great hands. Let's talk about Columbus real quick.
Okay.
It's in great hands in Columbus because you got Ramon Spears. Yeah, I'm biased. You got Ramon Spears. You got Jesse Jackson and his sons. You got the brother at Afrocentric that's with the girls.
Yeah.
You got great workout guys like Tyron Johnson, Johnny Clark, Mike Thornton. You got all my nephews. You got great guys. The game is in good hands. And then you got guys in Upper Arlington like Tim Casey, Scott McGlade. The game is in good hands here in Columbus, and other people that Scott knows.
Well, I'm going to add that, I think my son Kevin Weakley at Worthing Christian, his 20th year, he's won 7 district championships.
Wow.
Faster than anybody his own age. And he probably has his best team coming up. He has a young man named DJ Moore who's being recruited all over the country. He was a player of the year last year in the league as a freshman. And he's being highly recruited everywhere. And so,
Columbus is popping.
Yeah, and plus, I'm a proud dad, and so, it's up-and-coming stars all around Columbus,
all
Ohio.
around.
Yeah, and I'll add this, that over the years, I think there was a study done at one time in the 70s or 80s that Columbus ranked 10th. I can't put my finger on it right now, of major cities in our country that had the most players that would go on to play in the NBA.
Wow.
And you think about that, 10th. Considering New York, Chicago, Dallas, San Francisco, Detroit. And Columbus is right after that. So we've had a lot of great players come out of here, and there's still great players here.
And think about this one. You had off of the same team, and this is a homer because it's Linden, but off of the same team, you had 2 draft picks, 2 number 1 draft picks. I mean, first round draft picks, and Skip Young and Jim Clemens.
Yeah.
And then you got Nick and those guys. And you had 3
from East High School.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's Columbus is. I think we might be close to being a basketball capital, but look, I think we might be.
We're Mecca.
How did y'all feel? I mean, how did you feel when you heard that you were going to be a Hall of Famer from the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Association? How did you? Tell me about that, Scott. How did you feel about that?
Well, I went to the banquet a couple years ago when they inducted guys like Ed Stahl and Esteban Weaver, and I thought, man, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And so when Skip called me and told me that I'd be in part of this year's class, I got to tell you, I was humbled because, number one, I'm not sure I deserve it right now, but just to think that, some people that you grew up with considered that, I might have had an impact in basketball, but it's not really just an award for me. It's an award for all the coaches I've had, all the players that have played for me, and also for my family because, I'll brag about this. My wife and I are the only parents that have 3 sons in the state record book in high school basketball.
Wow, yes.
So it's about my family.
Yeah.
It's really not about me. It's about my family. So, but I was overjoyed. I'm humbled and thankful that I could be a part of this group, and I'd like to help this group in any way I can.
Yes, me too. But Don,
Can
how did you feel when
Can I add to Scott?
Yeah.
Right. His 3 sons, the record books are a lot of shots, most shots, and more shots.
No, actually, one of my sons is in there for assists because he passed to his other brothers.
This is a basketball family.
I was overwhelmed because I nowhere near the player Scott Weakley was. I mean, this class for me is just wow. This class isn't about Scott, my brother-in-law Tony Lucas, and Tamika, Skip, and some other people. They represent the basketball part of it. Van, Greg, they represent the basketball part of it. But there's people like Keith Neal, who has helped raise a city here in Columbus, a whole side of town, the west side. There's guys that have contributed in other ways. Again, I won a lot in high school, and I'm not sure how many minutes I played. I know my junior year, I'm only playing when we blew people out, but I was able to go to the state twice in 3 years. Was able to win 3 district championships or 2 district championships. A lot of winning because of what I played with. So when after basketball, that propelled me to where I, was lucky to work in the NBA for quite a while. Basketball's taken me across the water. I mean, coaching in many countries, Bible countries at that. And I mean, just honored and humbled because again, it speaks more, like Scott said, it speaks volumes of, I made some decisions in life that, you could say, whoa. But when you look back on it, those decisions help you get where you are now. And, man, it's going to be, I'm going to try not to, like you did, Esteban. I'm going to try not to cry.
You know what? That event is so wonderful, and young people need to go hear those stories, particularly if they're interested in basketball. It's a classy event in the first place. It's really classy. It's first class. I mean, when the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Association put on a show, it is first class. In fact, I'm trying to get my dress together for the program. It's got to be a class act. But anyway, it's August the 24th, and it's going to be at the Ohio Historical Connection on the 24th at 7 o'clock. But I mean, if you have children or anybody that's interested in basketball, that's the place to be, because they tell some things about, like some of the stories that we're hearing now, about their life in the how they got involved in basketball. You can hear it from the pro players, from some of the coaches, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful event. But you talked about being a recruiter. How did you become not a recruiter, a scouter? How did you become a scouter, Don?
I love the way you say scouter. And first of all, let me say this. Before I ever met you, I knew who you were, and you've been phenomenal in our community, and you put up with Kahari and Ahara. And
that's my buddy.
But what an honor to be on your show. That's first off.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll tell you, it happened like this. I'm going to try to be real quick with it. Dennis Hobson was at a car wash here in Columbus one day, and we talked for a while, played in the Worthington League. So I moved out to California in '88, and Hop, Brad Sellers, and Ron Harper, who all played in the Worthington League, were on combined team. They were on different NBA teams, but it was Cleveland, Chicago, somebody else, Philadelphia, had all combined three teams into one for the summer league in LA. So on KJLH in LA, I'm giving a shout out to KJLH. They said they needed people to work in the summer league. So I went up and asked, and a lady said yes. A guy came in and showed me around, and so ironically, we walked behind Cleveland's bench, and I had already called Hop that day, and I said, told him I was going to come to the game or whatever. So we're sitting kind of behind their bench, and Hop comes out of the game, and I'm like, "Yo, Hop," and he looks. And so now he hits Brad like this and points to me, and then Brad hits Harper and points to me, and we say hi. The guy that I was with was like, "Oh my God, do you know those guys?" I said, "Yeah, they're from Ohio, and we play together, in the summer league." And from there, it just happened. I mean, it was this basketball can do some things for you. Who would have ever thought that I would have gone to China through Irvin Johnson, Magic, and Marnie Colbert and some other people. Who would have ever thought some of the places that basketball has taken me that I've got to go? So being a scout in the NBA is a highlight for me. Working for Jerry West is a highlight for me. Sitting here with Scott Weakley is a highlight for me. And I truly mean that. It's just basketball can do things for you. So young ones, figure it out. Don't take that thing for granted. Basketball can do some things for you.
Now what do you tell the person that loves basketball but can't really play baskall? What can they do if they love it and they can't play it? Well, what do you tell them, Scott?
I want to comment on that a little bit because Don and I played against each other, and he was always beating me up on the court. You may not play, but you can sort of knock somebody down. But that's a good point, and I want to just go back for a second and just say that one of the missions of the GCBLA is to have older guys like us mentor younger players. And so if they do come to the banquet, come up and ask questions.
Yes, please.
You know, and you know, I'm sure there's a lot of guys and girls that are interested in basketball camps and put on camps. You need to find out about those things. We want to influence young people, you know, in our community, not just to be better basketball players, but you know, to improve their, you know, help them improve their character and their other opportunities in life. So I wanted to comment on that. But, you know, if you have someone that, you know, isn't as talented as others, there's still opportunities. I mean, look at the coach at North Carolina. Slips my mind right now. Who is it, Don?
Roy.
Yeah, Roy Williams. He was a manager on the team at North Carolina. Now he's become one of the great coaches in the game. So
And one of the nicest people.
yeah, and Fred Erfurt, who was a manager at Capitol when I played, became a really good coach at Centennial High School here in Columbus. So just because you can't play doesn't mean that you can't have an impact in the game.
And going up NBA wise, Stan Van Gundy, one of the hardest working guys, assistants around. Look at what he's done. So you got a lot. The kid Eric Spoelstra, heck of a video guy, just a hard working guy. You know, I'm learning discipline in doing this show. Because the brother standing behind the camera is like, if you look over there one more time.
They do me like that all the time.
That way.
Because I sometimes I get all over the place.
Don's a smart guy. He'd rather look at her than me.
Oh my goodness! Wow! But guess what? What would you tell a young person that wanted to? I mean, say a 10-year-old that's interested. What would you tell them, Scott? What would you tell them if they wanted to play basketball? What would you tell them?
Well, a little bit depends on their situation. You know, what area of town they're in, and the opportunities they have right at that time. I think the first thing I would tell them is don't get all hung up in trying to be the best player you can be right there. Just go out and enjoy the game and have fun. We're taking the fun out of the game at kids at such a young age.
Great
go out on
point.
the driveway.
Great point.
And play with your neighborhood guys, you know, kids. And you know, and I guess I talked to the parents a little bit. And parents, don't expect your son or daughter to be getting a Division I scholarship when they're 10 years old. I mean, they might have some potential, but let them enjoy the game. Let them enjoy each other, and work on just skills. You know, their ball handling, shooting, and ball handling are probably the two biggest things. But just try not to put too much pressure on yourself, and just enjoy the game.
What would you tell them, Don?
Can I go 20 seconds to the parents?
Uh-huh.
Now, I'm going to look in the camera. Parents, your kid does not have to get a division. This is Columbus, and I hear it all the time. Your kid doesn't have to get a Division I scholarship to get an education. You can get a Division II. Scholarship is, I can understand why you want them to get a scholarship, because it helps financially. But no, D1. I get so sick of hearing D1. If a kid can go to Capitol, if a kid can go to Ohio Dominican, if a kid can go to Columbus State, he's getting an education. So just understand that, please. To the 10-year-old kid, I'd say the same thing. I'd piggyback off Scott. The same thing. Just you know, just have fun, learn the game. The last thing you said to a player, did you say they couldn't play, or
if they could? I mean, they love basketball, but they just can't play.
There was a guy, and Scott will know this guy well, Press Maravich. He's Pete Maravich, great Pete Maravich's dad.
You're dating us.
Yeah, I am. Kid said, Coach, what I need to do to play? He said, son, you're lacking one thing that every player needs. He's like, what's that, Coach? Talent. So it was. He told him like it was. Press wasn't no joke. He told him exactly like it was.
All right. Oh my gosh, time is going by real fast. But look, you've got to be there, August the 24th at the Ohio Historical Society. And if you want more information, you can call me and I'll get it to you. It's at 614-572-1310. And I hope to see you there at the Basketball Hall of Fame. Class act. I'll see you next week. Love you.
You got the power. The world's greatest radio. TalkTainmentRadio.com.